Hello everyone. Let us continue with the discussion about the advanced features of SQL. In this video, let us discuss about triggers. Like functions and procedures, database trigger is also a named part of the PL bar SQL program unit. It is a stored program unit associated with a specific database table. These triggers are triggered automatically as a side effect of the modification to the database. That is, a trigger is fired or executed when DML statements like insert, delete or update is executed on a particular table. Okay. Unlike this procedure or a function which must be invoked explicitly, these database triggers are invoked implicitly. Okay. When a table is dropped, all the associated triggers for that table will also get deleted. To design a trigger mechanism, two requirements must satisfy. First one is we have to specify when a trigger is to be executed. That is, we have to specify the event that causes the trigger to be checked and the condition that must be satisfied for trigger execution. The second point is once the trigger is executed, we need to perform some set of actions. Okay, so we have to specify the actions to be taken when the trigger gets fired. Okay, so we have to satisfy two requirements while designing a trigger mechanism. The first one is we have to specify the event and condition that must be satisfied for triggering a particular trigger. The second point is we have to specify the actions to be taken when the trigger gets fired. Once a trigger is entered into the database system takes on the responsibility of executing it. Why we need these triggers? Let us look into that point. Database triggers can be used to implement certain integrity constraints that cannot be specified using the constraint mechanism of SQL. For alerting humans or for starting certain tasks automatically when certain conditions are met, we can make use of our triggers. For example, if the level of the stock of a particular item is at or below the reorder level, we need to generate an alert to place a new order. So it gets automatically happened whenever the stock level goes beyond the reorder level. Okay, so we can alert the humans or we can start certain tasks. We can fix a particular time for starting a certain task. So we can do all such type with the help of these triggers. Some more points that can be done with the help of this database triggers: audit data modification, log events transparently, enforce complex business rules, derive column values automatically, implement complex security authorizations, maintain replicate tables. Two types of triggers are there: row level trigger and statement level trigger. The row level trigger gets fired for each row modification, whereas the statement level trigger gets fired only once for the entire statement. Okay, in the case of statement level trigger, it gets fired only once, regardless of the number of modifications happened in the rows. Okay. The create trigger command can be used for creating a trigger. The syntax is specified here. Create or replace trigger, trigger name, before or after, insert or update or delete, off column name, on table name, referencing old row as O row, new row as N row, for each row, when condition, declaration statements, executable statements, exception handling statements, finally ends with end command. So this before and after. This clause indicates at what time should the trigger get fired, either before the updation or after the updation. So this before or after clause indicates at what time should the trigger get fired. Then the second point is insert or update or delete. So this clause determines the triggering event. Okay, it can be either an insert event or an update event or a deleting event. More than one triggering event can also be happened. So that can be separated with the help of or. It can be either insert or update. So with the help of that keyword or, we can separate this triggering events. Okay, the trigger gets fired at all the specified triggering event. Okay, so what all triggering event that we are going to specify inside this clause, it will get triggered for all the specified triggering event. Then comes the keyword of column name. This clause is used with only the update triggers, and this clause is used to trigger an event only to a specific column. So in the case of insert or delete, we are dealing with the entire row. Okay, we are going to insert a particular row or we are going to delete a particular row. But in the case of update, we are going to update only a column values, right? So we have to specify the column name. So of column name clause is used with only with the update triggers. On table name, the name of the table or the view to which the trigger is associated is specified here. So we can apply this trigger on employee table, or we can apply that one to the student table. So the table name should be specified here. Okay. Referencing old row as O row, new row as N row. This clause is used to refer the old and new values of the data being changed. That is, if we want to know the data before and after updation, we can refer that one with the help of this clause. We cannot refer the old values while we are inserting a record, or we cannot refer new values while we are deleting a record. Why? Because these two values didn't exist, right? So we are inserting a record means we are giving a new value. So we cannot refer the old value. We are deleting a record means we are deleting an old value. We cannot refer the new value, right? So we cannot refer the old values while inserting and the new values when deleting. We can refer the old and new values after and before updation, right? So this clause can be used to refer the old and new values of the data being changed. Then the next clause is for each row. This clause is used to determine whether the trigger is a row level trigger or a statement level trigger. That is, we want to specify whether this triggering event is going to happen for each and every row updation, or only for the entire statement. Okay, so this for each row clause specifies whether the triggering is going to happen for each row or for the entire statement. Then the clause when condition. This clause is valid only for row level triggers, and this trigger is fired only for rows that satisfy the condition specified. That is, for each row, this trigger will triggered when this particular condition gets satisfied. Okay, so when condition is valid only for the row level triggers. Okay. Now let us discuss some examples that make use of these triggers. Here we are going to create a trigger to check the validity of the course code before a row is inserted in the course table. So we are going to check the validity of the course code. The condition here is the course code should be a 2-digit number. Okay, fine. We have to check before entering the details into the course table. Okay, now let's create the trigger. Create trigger. The trigger name is valid code. Okay, then create trigger valid code. The time of triggering, it's should be before the row insertion, right? So before, then the event here is insert. Okay, fine. on which table? On the course table. Okay. Then for each row, begin. Then in the executable section, we have to check whether it is a 2-digit number or not. So we are going to check whether the course code, newly entering course code, is a single digit number, or if the value is greater than 99. That means if the newly entering course code is less than 10, or if it is greater than 99, then we are raising a error message using this raise application error procedure. So what is this raise application error procedure? So this procedure is used in Oracle for reporting errors to the callers. So this procedure consists of two parameters: an error number followed by a text. This error number is a negative number that will be within the range from -20,999 to -20,000. That means we can make use a total of 1,000 error numbers. Okay. So when the procedure executes, Oracle halts the execution of the current block immediately and report the callers with the error message. Okay. So with the help of this raise application error message, we can report errors to the callers. Okay, so we are checking whether the value is less than 10, or if it is greater than 99, that means it is not a 2-digit number. If so, we are raising an error and we are exiting from the code. So this is the trigger which fires before a row gets inserted into the course table. Okay, fine. Now let us look at another example. Here we are going to create a trigger that limits the DML actions to the employee table to weekdays. That means during weekdays, that means during Saturday and Sunday, the employees are not allowed to try or perform any DML actions on to the employee table. Okay, so if a user tries to perform any insert, update or delete operations into the employee table, a warning message should be prompted. Okay, now let's create the trigger. Create trigger. The trigger name here is weekdays. Okay, create trigger weekdays. Before we have to check it before. Okay, fine. Before, then we are the events, we have to check it for insert or update or delete. So before, delete, or insert or update. Then on to the employee table, on employee, begin. Then in the executable section, we have to check whether it is a weekday or not. So from the system date, we are checking whether it is a weekday or not using sysdate. Okay, using sysdate command, we are taking the day from the date. Then, and if the day is either Saturday or Sunday, then we are raising an application error that is saying that the table is secured, the employee is not allowed to do any DML actions on the employee table. Okay. Another example, here we are going to create a trigger if the newly inserted record in the employee table has null value in the higher date field. If it is null, fill it with the current date. Okay, so we are creating a trigger if the newly inserted record, that means the record is already inserted. After insert, we have to check whether the higher date field is null or not. If it is null, fill it with the current date. Okay, so the time of event is after, and what is the event? Insert. So we have to check this, we have to trigger this trigger after insert. So now let's create the trigger. Create trigger emp date. Emp date is the trigger name. So create trigger emp date after insert on employee. For each row, declare temp date. So we are declaring a variable called as temp which is of data type date. Okay, fine. Then moving to the executable section, we are going to check the hire date is null or not. Before that, we are taking this system date value into the temp. Okay, select sys date into temp from dwell. We are making use of this dwell table. Okay, so the current date will be stored into the variable temp. Okay, fine. Then we are going to check the hire date is null or not. So we are making use of this colon new dot hire date. Colon new. So that one can be used for referring the new value. Okay. Colon new means we are going to refer the new value, updated value. Colon new dot hire date is null. If it is null, then what we have to do? We have to fill it with the current date. The current date is there in the variable temp. So the new dot hire date is equal to temp. Okay. So the hire date is set with the current date. Okay. So make sure that the column new and the column old, that two variables can be used for referring the old value and the new value. Okay. Another example, here we are going to create a trigger for keeping the bonus attribute in the employee table always as 3% of the salary attribute. We have to keep the bonus attribute as 3% of the salary attribute. Okay, so before insert or update, we have to check, we have to keep this bonus attribute as 3%. Now let's create the trigger. Create trigger EMP bonus before insert or update on employee for each row. Begin bonus is equal to new dot bonus is equal to colon new dot salary into 0.03. That means the bonus value is always computed automatically. So why, if you are knowing this salary value, the 3% of the salary value will be credited as the bonus value. So while inserting or updating, that value will be always computed automatically. Okay, so we can create a trigger for that. Okay. Now let's create a trigger for raising an application error when trying to update the primary key of employee table. Okay, so what we have to do? We have to raise an error message when a user is trying to update the primary key of employee table. So before update on the primary key of employee table, we have to raise the error. So create trigger name before update of e number on employee for each row. Begin raise the application error. Okay. Now let's create a trigger to keep track of all the transactions performed on the employee table. Okay, so whether we performed any delete operation or insert operation or update operation on the employee table, uh, we have to keep track of all these changes. Okay, so after delete or insert or update on employee for each row, if deleting, then the deleted value will be inserted into X employee table. Else, if inserting, then inserting the new value into N employee table, N new employee table. Okay. Else, if updating the employee salary, then insert into C employee the values. Okay, so if deleting, look at that, if deleting, we are referring the old value. So using under colon old, we are referring the old values. Is if inserting, we are referring the new values. So colon new is used for referring the new values. If updating, we are referring the old values. Okay, else insert into you employ the details. Okay, so with the help of we can track all the transactions performed on the employee table. So if any employee is deleted, a new row containing the details of this employee is stored into the X employee table. If a new employee is inserted, a new row is created in another table called N employee, and so on. Now let's let's look into that. Delete from employee where EMP last name is equal to Prasad. Prasad. So we are giving a delete command. One row gets deleted. So actually what happens when we done a manipulate DMLO operation, when that corresponding field, the corresponding action need to be taken. If you are deleting, that details should be entered into the ex-employee table, right? Now let's look into the ex-employee table. Select star from ex-employee. Yeah, we are getting a record with the employee last name as Prasad. Okay, so the deleted record gets inserted into the ex-employee table. Okay, so likewise, we can track all the actions happened on the employee table with the help of a trigger. Now let's look into the commands for disabling a trigger. Alter trigger, trigger name, disable. Alter table, table name, disable all triggers. So disable all triggers means it disabled all the triggers associated with the particular table. Okay. Alter trigger, trigger name disable means it disables only that particular trigger. Similarly, if you want to enable a trigger, the keyword is enable. And if you want to drop a trigger, drop trigger, trigger name. The difference between drop and disable is the disable is just disabling it, but the trigger command is still there. If you are dropping it, we are deleting it. And if you want to display the errors happened on the stored procedure, we can make use of this show error command, show errors command. So in this video, we discussed in detail about the triggers and we discussed many examples too. Thank you.